Right, good evening and welcome to a special session of today's program. My name is Samuel Oludare Yorokun. Obviously, you know me very well. And right here, I've got Robert Madi is joining me today for this special focus on a project, a charity project, so to say, in Nakuru in Kenya. Robert, you were linked to Anne. So where's the connection?
Oh, thanks very much, Mr. Yorokun, for an invite. My name is Madi, Robert Madi. I moved to Wigtown, that is in Dumfries and Galloway, and that is way back in 2011 with my family. I'm moving from Paisley to Dumfries and Galloway. That is where my partner had a job. So in 2012, I've known Anne Todd for over probably 6-7 years to date. And this lady, we managed to have something in common. I loved drumming.
Okay.
One time we met up on a drumming session and we got talking. So we both became good friends. She's actually done very well, immensely well. And she's a lady, I would say she's one in a million. Anne Todd has done really a lot of charity work. Sure. She goes to Africa, particularly in Kenya, in a place called Nakuru. Right. Nakuru, she normally flies out every year. Unfortunately, this time around, she hasn't been able to fly out just because of the pandemic and this the situation we're in just now. So we all understand the hard times we're all going through. So I'll probably let Anne Todd come in, and she'll probably explain more about the charity, which is called Twaomba Musaada. Twaomba Musaada means asking for help to support other people in need of help. So Anne Todd, could you please take it away if you can?
Okay. Right, so. Well, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, go on.
Thank you very much for inviting me along this evening. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this. I grew up in Wigtown in a family who didn't travel. I had never travelled. I had never flown. Spent most of my life in Wigtown and Dumfries and Galloway, and joined the local African drumming group in a town called Stranraer, and actually met Robert through the African drumming group initially. I've done a lot of volunteering pretty much all my life, from helping at Sunday school. I was a member of the Girl Guides and went on to become a young leader at the Girl Guides, which was a voluntary position. Then in later years, I volunteered in one of the local charity shops, the Canine Rescue charity shop in Newton Stewart. In 2013, I actually helped to do some fundraising for a friend's son who was travelling to Nakuru as part of a group of volunteers. I had never heard of the trip itself until my friend's son was travelling. And it wasn't something that I'd ever imagined that I would take part in. In 2014, we had a visit from a group of drummers from Ghana who were touring in the UK, and they came along and did a workshop with our drumming group and kept in touch with them. And in 2015, they came back to the UK, and we actually hosted them. They were doing a bit of work around our area, and they came to stay in Wigtown, and that was a real coup for Wigtown, because we weren't in the habit. Robert was the only African who was around Wigtown. Wigtown's not a very big place, so it was quite an event to have the Ghanaian drummers, Kakachichi master drummers from Ghana, staying in Wigtown. We put on an event. I think it was 2016, but it came about that the guys from Ghana had invited me to go on holiday to Ghana, and I had never ever wanted to fly, and never really thought about traveling. But anyway, happened to bump into Rob one day, and he told me about a guy who worked in Newton Stewart, who took part in these trips, the volunteer trips out to Kenya. And he said, why don't we go and visit him and see what we can do? and the rest, as they say, is history. So yes, it's been quite an experience getting involved. I mean, Robert's been a great help in a big way with advising and helping with fundraising. The charity that we travel out with is actually called African Adventures Foundation, who are an English-based charity that's been running since about 2010 or 2011. And they are involved in Kenya, Ghana, and Zanzibar. They provide support in schools that are already set up, but in areas of severe deprivation. There's a lot of poverty in the area of Nakuru where we volunteer. So the African Adventures provide financial support for these schools to be able to try and educate as many children as possible. So I don't know if there's any questions you want to ask.
Yes, there are lots of questions.
Okay. Better not waffle on too much.
No, that's okay. And because the first time Robert told me that I'm Todd, and I remember telling him that name rings a bell, and it was like, well, I said I've had that name before, and then we'll trace that back to, you know, this drumming group,
Yes.
Winter. But then, of course, to the conga, a set of two drums, conga, that you donated to the Association of African Communities, maybe around 2014 or 15.
It would be probably, yes.
So when I told him, I said, yes, I know where the name came from. So, and I told him that, yeah, you gave us drum, an African drum, then, which was like an insignia for us at the office. We just placed it by the window. So thank you very much again. I mean, that would be the first time I'm seeing you well, not face to face, because obviously we're not saying face to face, but I'm seeing you in a moving picture. Now, from Scotland to Nakuru, Kenya, how has the journey been? I know it's not just like taking a bus and then going to Lochwinnock or coming to Glasgow or Paisley. I know that it would have taken passion, it would have taken sort of sacrifice. But from that time up until now, what can you say about the journey?
It's been an absolutely amazing journey. It's something that I never ever imagined I would be doing. The journey itself, I mean, even the process of in 2016, when we first talked about going, and I put in my application form to be part of the trip, I had no passport. So even applying for a passport, and there was only about 6 months that we had to do some fundraising to help cover the cost of the trip alone. And over and above that, we managed to raise some money to take out with us to use while we were out there to support projects in Nakuru. But that was, you know, it was like a completely different experience, because it wasn't something that I'd ever done. So within 6 months, I'd gone from never having travelled to having my passport and travelling to Nakuru. Even a trip to Glasgow was a novelty, because I don't travel anywhere. So it was quite an experience. It was all very new to me. It's been a complete life changer. I mean, really, my life now revolves around, obviously, my family here, but we've also got our family in Nakuru, the good friends and family that we've made since travelling over there, and it's lovely to go back each year and meet up with old friends and make new friends while we're there as well, and become a big part of life out there for the families on the dump site as well. The school that we're based in, the Walk Centre Primary School, the majority of the children live on the town rubbish dump in the most horrendous conditions. You know, there's no water, no sanitation. They're living in shelters that are built. Oh, that's my brother's dogs. That photograph shouldn't have been in. That one slipped through. So the families are living with nothing. I mean, they're scavenging on the dump site to find anything that they can to sell for recycling, to try to raise money to buy food and to support themselves. The African Adventures provide a feeding programme in the schools that they support. So the children who come to the school each day, they get their dinner. They have ugali and cabbage soup basically every day for lunch. The school's open on a Saturday. The children come in, and not just the school children, but they bring their younger brothers and sisters as well, and they get a meal every day. So African Adventures, you know, they've supported these children tremendously over the years. The group of volunteers, when we go out, we do all sorts. I mean, we're based in the school, but we go up onto the dump site. Over the years, we've helped provide donations of money to build shelters for the families on the dump site, to provide secure accommodation for them. We've provided water. There are water tanks up on the site, so any spare money that there is, we buy water to provide water for the families. There's been all sorts of different projects. We've provided a play area for the children in a little dump site, a classroom that was on the dump site. We've provided school packs. This is the children up in the dump site classroom. They were so happy the day they received their little backpacks. They had pencils and paper and sweeties and juice and biscuits and socks and hats and mittens. They were so happy. But yeah, I mean, and it is. I mean, they're so happy. I mean, and the children never stop smiling. They smile all the time. But yeah, so it's been. We've provided a project for the teenage girls in the secondary schools, where we've provided funding to buy materials and supply reusable sanitary towels for the girls. So rather than providing disposable pads that would be thrown away, each of the teenage girls have received packs with reusable pads to enable them to go to school every day and not miss any days each month. You know, so that's been good. So yes, and Helen, our good friend in Nakuru, has been instrumental in organising the making of these pads. She goes out and buys the raw materials and has a lady who has a sewing machine, and she makes the pads up, and then Helen and Eunice, her friend, go into the schools and hand out the packs to the girls. So they're always very excited when they receive. But because of the situation this year with the COVID pandemic, the schools have been closed. So they've been able to organise. Eunice is involved with an organisation called Family Life Initiative, and they have organised meetings for the girls in particular, where they've provided self-defence classes, hygiene, personal hygiene and education, and they've been able to donate the reusable pad packs through that as well. So that's been good. And the boys haven't missed out. The boys have received some packs recently with vests and boxers and socks and toothbrushes and toothpaste and things. So the boys have received as well. But yeah, there's lots and lots, and the support is amazing. The support that we've had from family and friends and complete strangers has been absolutely amazing over the years, and it builds and builds. It's absolutely, you know, it's unbelievable actually. I mean, I never ever imagined that it would grow as it has.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
I understand you've gone even further, expanded your support and voluntary job, helping the adults, giving them or providing them with starter packs, like business starter packs. Is that right?
That's
could
right.
you tell us more about that, please?
This year, we've actually provided some funding through friends over here who have given donations, and we've been able to provide chickens or hens for some of the women on the dump site, to try and support them, to encourage them to try and support themselves, or to be able to support themselves, in the hope that the chickens will grow to become good layers, and provide eggs for them, but also to be able to provide some sort of income for the women as well. And more recently, our local butcher in Wigtown, Mr. Stephen Croney, had done some fundraising connected with our Ben Nevis mountain climb, the sponsored climb that we did in October. Stephen did a fundraiser in the shop to help support that, and provided some funding along with another friend from Wigtown. And we are in the process of looking after some piglets to provide as well. So, but the piglets, the woman who had the piglets was struggling to maintain them. They were needing veterinary inspection and feeding as well, and she was struggling. She thought she was going to have to sell the piglets before they were ready to leave the mother. So these piglets are at the moment being looked after with the plan of selling them to provide piglets for individuals as well, to be able to obviously that'll be an ongoing project, and they will eventually be able to bring in some financial support for the new owners.
Okay, that's great. So if I could say, so that means you are actually helping people to take charge of their own lives, either they want to set up business or they want to do something else. So it's just like enabling them by the help that you've received from maybe from the community here or other communities to help them. Now, the other question is, you did mention that the initial one, when you were going to go out, you had to make an application. You make an application. So is this organization for people, if people wants to work with this organization or to volunteer, is that the same process?
Yes, the group of volunteers who go over, we're quite we've got a core group of members, but each year people can apply to come, not just on our trip, but African Adventures Foundation is an English-based charity or a UK-based charity. And people can apply. There are groups of volunteers go out throughout the year. I think they mainly focus on student groups and younger groups, students and even workplaces as well. I think initially the group, Eddie, the guy who I approached first of all about travelling to Nakuru with the group that he organises, initially went out with a group from his football supporters, his football club supporters group, but it's the groups vary from year to year in the amount of volunteers, but we find our group tends to be around 8 volunteers. There were supposed to be 10 this year, but African Adventures, I'm not sure what size of groups they'll take out. I don't know if there's any limit to the size of group, but if anyone was interested in travelling to get Ghana, Kenya or Zanzibar are the 3 countries that they actually work in. They have schools that they support in each of those 3 countries. So if anyone was interested, then they would be able to search for African Adventures Foundation online and link up with them there. The Twaomba Musaada actually came about. We kind of branched off, Robert and I. We started off it was a one-off really to begin with, a market stall. We have a little market here in Wigtown throughout the summer, and it started off through the drumming group initially, some of my friends donated bric-a-brac and second-hand goods to sell at a stall, and I was left with quite a few things. So we finished up opening it up to a market stall in Wigtown, which has grown and grown. I think we've got the biggest stall in the market. So, but again, after my first trip out to Kenya, I brought some items home with me that are made on the dump site and by local people, mainly from recycled goods. I bring them back with me and sell them, and the money that's raised from the sales goes back into the donation pot for the projects out there. So it's and when I'm at home, I'm able to have, I've got a contact out there, or in fact 2 contacts that I can have stuff sent over. I send the money over, and they send some items over. So that the banner there is the banner we use on our market stall. So it's
yeah, and this Twaomba Musaada, Robert is trying to tell me what it means, but I want to hear it from you, in case it's wrong.
Well, initially my idea was to have the title. Well, I asked my friend, I looked up, I Googled to see what the Swahili word, the Swahili phrase was for supporting others. And I contacted my friend Helen in Nakuru to ask her if it would, because when you Google, you get all sorts of different ones. But Helen said, no, this is what you want. And it was Twaomba Musaada. And she said it was asking for help. And I thought, I didn't really know if that was what I wanted the title to be, but actually it's been amazing. I mean, and you know, we don't really ask. We do our fundraising, but people are so generous that I don't know. They come along. I mean, I've had occasions where complete strangers have handed me money, you know, as part, because they've heard of what we're doing, or you know, and it really is. It's been quite a surreal experience, strange. But yes, and amazing. I mean, even at the market stall, meeting complete strangers and chatting about them, and you know, the people, amazing, the people that have been out in Kenya or various other countries volunteering, or you know, involved in similar sort of work. So it's quite something. But yes, Twaomba Musaada means asking for help. In Swahili.
Thank you very much.
So
you see right on the screen that is yourself and people from the locals in the area where you are working.
Yes.
And I was going to ask, or I'm going to ask that with these locals that are in those, or how do I want to call them, the people that are within that area, that community,
yes.
How helpful have they been for this project? I mean, it's for them. So, but there are times, you know, you have some communities where people will be quite receptive, but for the community in Nakuru, how did they receive these projects, and how long has this project been going on for?
Our project, the Twaomba Musaada, we've been running probably since about 2016. The African Adventures Foundation, they work within the school, but it's our team that go up onto the dump site and work with the locals there. We met a guy called Sami Mbugwa, who grew up on the dump site, had the opportunity to come over to the UK to college, and did a building course and construction course in college in Brighton, and took his skill. It was through other volunteers. Took his skills back to the dump site, employed young lads on the dump site to build the shelter. So it was Sami who was actually organising the building with any donations of funding that was provided by the volunteers. I think to date we've probably put up about 30 shelters through Sami. Very, very sadly, Sami, he was elected as a local councillor 2 years ago, and very, very sadly, Sami passed away last week. So just a young man, he was doing so much for his community, helping others. And recently, just before he passed away, we had managed to send some money over, and he has actually been, because of the situation with the pandemic, he has been providing food parcels for elderly people and families with disabilities who obviously haven't been able to get any support or very little support during this year that we've had these troubles. But his death will have left a huge void in the area. You know, Sammy was a great contact, but we have Helen, our friend Helen, who helps a lot as well. So she's our contact for the sanitary pad project, and actually there has been some money sent out over this weekend to provide food parcels for some of the families on the dump site with young children in the run up to Christmas. So it's ongoing. We do what we can when we can, and sadly this year, because we haven't been able to travel out, we've been unable to do other things whilst we were there. But looking forward to hopefully being able to travel out later next year to continue with what we do. But at least we can help out. You know, even although we're not there, we've got someone who can help. Us.
Briefly, and could you tell us how much somebody has to, if somebody was willing to travel out there, what's the minimum amount somebody has to fundraise?
To fundraise to cover the cost of the trip, it works out
and
about
somebody has to go through.
Sorry?
Yes, the minimum amount somebody has to fundraise to fly out there.
I would say probably by the time everything's paid, from your flights to your trip, the cost of the trip itself, your visa and everything, I would say probably about £1,800 to £2,000 by the time everything's been paid up. So it's a lot of money to raise. In fact, the last 2 years, my daughter came with us, so we had double amount of money to to raise. But it was good. It was a good experience for her as well. But yes, I would say probably about £1,800 to £2,000 would cover all the costs, from injections and medication, your malaria tablets and things like that. But you know, passport, visa, flights, and the actual cost of the trip itself for your accommodation and transfers. It works out. So yes, it's not a cheap.
Right. Thank you very much, Anne. I will just give you like maybe about 1 minute for maybe like a sort of a message to the people out there, whether those people that wants to join to volunteer, or those people that wants to contribute, or even probably those people that are out there in Kenya who are willing, or who through your message could get involved in also giving a helping hand. So the ground is yours.
Thank you. Well, if anyone would like to be part of the trip, or any African Adventures trip, then I would advise you to get in touch with African Adventures Foundation. If you're interested in donating in any way towards any projects that we're involved in, please feel free to get in touch. I think there were some contact details on the Twaomba Musaada banner that Samuel showed in the programme.
Yeah.
So yes, that feel free to get in touch. And to our friends in Nakuru, it's been a pleasure to work with them. We've been gratefully received out there, and if anyone out there is willing to help to support the projects out there, then feel free to get in touch as well. It's been a great pleasure to be able to.
Right, thank you very much.
Thanks very much for your time.
We appreciate you for coming, and we'll keep track to check what's the progress of what you are doing in Kenya and in other areas.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me on the program. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
You're most welcome.
Yeah.